What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Pods. That's the Drop Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. Like, rate, review, subscribe, follow along, all that good stuff.
This episode is presented by the Law Office of Mallon & Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal defense. As certified trial attorneys, they have recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon & Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too. I'm like a savvy vet at this point.
Mike, I was first team All-State. I can make it rain out here.
This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's going on, everyone? Happy New Year. We are recording this on January 1st. And excited to be here. Both Mike and I had really riveting nights out. We went, Mike, it was great. I didn't know I'd see you at Times Square yesterday, but it was very fun to happen to bump into you. Hope everyone had a great New Year's Eve. Everyone was safe. Have fun, but stayed safe as well. I'll tell you, I know Mike and I talked about it. We are super, super excited for 2023. I mean, we hit, this is episode 13. We hit the ground running at the end of 2022, and we got some big things going for 2023. Interviews that we have, set to come out or lined up. All the people that have reached out and said, hey, when the golf season kind of comes around through this winter, would love to have you out to the course. All of that kind of stuff that we have lined up. Different courses, guests, things that we have, ideas that we have, but the quote unquote, when next season comes around, Mike, like it's really, I hope we're coming in hot. I really hope everything comes to fruition, and it could be a huge year for us here at the Drop Podcast. So appreciate you guys following along, and as always, no matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, and keep following along. Come along for the ride for us.
Yeah, listen, 2022 was great, but like I keep saying, and I truly believe it, I think 2023 is going to be even better. So we're excited to get this thing going. I can't believe we're 13 episodes in, and let's just keep attacking, bro. Let's keep getting after it.
Yeah, for sure. Last episode, we had talked about our New Year's resolutions in golf. And I had talked about wanting to be a lower handicap. And I didn't really give anything descriptive on how I plan on doing that. And I have two main ways that I want to do that. I think the worst part of my game is putting. I feel like I miss a lot of putts that I should make, and that's really what I want to focus on this winter is getting better lines on my putts. So, this is not a promotion, but I had bought the Dave Peltz putting system. They're like these magnets that you put onto your putter. I know Mike has them as well. And just hitting putts more squarely is going to be the first thing that I want to do. I don't know if that's my actual problem, but I feel like that's a good place to start. So I got a putting mat set up in my room. I got the putter out with a couple balls that I'm just going to, every day I want to roll 20 putts using this. And the system has these 3 magnets, and the one is bigger than the width of a golf ball by, maybe it's not quite 2 golf balls, but maybe it's golf ball and a half. And then the second step is golf ball and a quarter. And then the third step is like, it's called like pro level, and it's just bigger than where a golf ball would hit. And if you hit any part of it that's not flush, it has like this bumper that'll hit the ball, and the ball goes kind of rolling all over. So that's kind of the first way, Mike, that I want to enact my plan here, is to make more putts. I would like to really be a better putter this year than I was in the past. Especially like last year, I got a new putter. I got fitted for it, and I like how I rolled it, but I changed my grip. I did some things. I really want to get a lot more practice this year with my putting. The next thing that I wanted to do is I really want to be more flexible. I am, as you guys have anyone that follows any of our content or whatever, I know I'm a big guy, but I am very inflexible. And I think that's a tangible thing that I can fix. Everybody's got, hashtag new year, new me kind of BS. And they want to eat better, they want to lose weight, and then by February nobody's in their gyms anymore. And I think that's because it's not something that's tangible. I think what I have planned is I want to stretch every day. Like that's my thing. I want to wake up, hit play on the coffee, do 10 minutes of stretching. Right? I have very tight hamstrings. My back's always tight. I think that's a tangible way to do something that's, again, 10, 15 minutes of just stretching, I think would make me more flexible, a little more limber, hopefully be able to follow through more on my golf swing. And I think that's another way, because my miss is, because I have a natural cut on my swing. But when I'm tight, it's a power fade, and my miss then becomes a slice. And I think that if I were to become more flexible, that would be a way that I could alleviate that and be a little more limber, be able to follow through a little easier. I think those are two very tangible things for me to be able to do for this golf season, to be able to stretch more, be more flexible, and make more putts. And the first way I want to try is this, again, the not an ad read, but that's Dave Pelt's putting system, and see if that might be it. What are your thoughts on my plan?
I love the idea of getting you more flexible. I think that would be a huge help to your golf swing and to your golf game, and probably even personally, it might just help you as well.
I should have mentioned that. Like that's like a personal goal that I think is just like when I was thinking about things I want to do, like what habits I want to change, that kind of stuff. That was definitely a personal goal that I think is one of the reasons why, other than, everybody wants to be healthier. I think that's a way for me to be healthier, but I also think a side result of that, a side benefit of that would be playing.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Golf.
I think that more so than putting would help your golf game way more. Because, no offense, like I agree, putting is probably, my dad would be the first person to say, like, you're an awful putter.
Who, me or you?
And to me.
Okay.
So to me, I would always say, like, I'm always messing around in the hallway, taking my putter out of the bag, trying to putt a little bit, things of that nature. So there's no doubt, like, I agree, like, for you specifically, though, if you getting more flexible, like, that is no doubt will be a huge benefit to your overall game, because then I think you feel more confident. You're hitting the ball, even if you're not making putts, you're able to two putt, make pars rather than scrambling to make that 15-footer for par. And then you're putting so much pressure on your putter where, if you're able to hit the ball a little bit better and move it around easier, that makes your life a lot easier on the putting green. So to me, I would say that should be number one for you. And then I think that you'll reap the results after that. And then I guess for me, I think like anybody, like no doubt everybody wants to hit it further. No doubt everybody wants to make more putts. But I guess for me specifically, I would love to be like really good from 100 yards and in. Like I would like to be able to confidently get up there with a wedge and know that the worst miss you're hitting it is 20 feet. Because there's no doubt there's times I hit good drives and then I got, $120 into the green and, you flare a wedge out right, or you leave it short. Or if you hit the green, it's like 30 feet and not close enough to where you kind of threw away a great drive. So I would say like that, to me, 100 yards and in would be like a point of emphasis in trying to take my game to the next level and being more competitive, because just like everybody else, my putter's streaky. It gets hot, and some days I look really good, and other days it's not, and I look like a chopper. So it's, the putting, no doubt, comes and goes, but I think if you're able to consistently hit it to a point where you're giving yourself opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, numbers are on your side that one's got to go in, and then we all know that once one goes in, we feel a lot more confident than the second one goes in. And now before you know it, you're stringing a couple good holes together, you're feeling more confident, you're feeling looser, you're not putting so much pressure on the tee shot or the second shot, because your short game from 100 yards and in is rock solid. So to me, like, I would say that's definitely an area that I would love to improve at.
I think you definitely can. And I know we've talked about like practicing that. I think that 100 yards and in is no doubt like maybe the most practice needs to be done with that, because that shot is so much on feel. And having that, like 100 yards is maybe for some people it's more than a 56, but it's less than a pitching wedge. So you're choking up on your pitching wedge, you're taking a 3/4 swing. That's just banging balls and getting muscle memory. But I think you definitely can, because as you said, like I've seen your putter get hot, and I've seen it not. And I tell people all the time, the first time Mike and I played last year in 2022, Mike didn't miss a putt inside 10 feet. Right? Mr. Poirot, I know you're listening to this. He did not miss a putt inside 10 feet. I mean, it was incredible. I couldn't believe. I knew he was a good golfer, and like you said, nothing. You feel like you wasted a good drive. It's demoralizing when you have a good drive, you got 100 yards in, and then you put it to 30 feet. Whereas, like, man, I really just, if I could tighten that up. So I hear you on that, and certainly attainable for you.
Located in Middletown, New Jersey, Dr. Mike Pomacala at Sport Solutions Physical Therapy and Performance Development is a Titleist Performance Institute medical practitioner. Dr. Mike uses a hands-on approach with his clients to get them out of pain and back onto the golf course. No pain, no problem. Assessments are available for golfers looking to improve flexibility, power, strength, stability, and overall efficiency with their golf swing. Don't let dysfunction disrupt your swing. Schedule an evaluation with a TPI physical therapist and check out Dr. Mike at sportsolutionspt.com and on Instagram at sportsolutionspt. Right, that's right up your alley. That is right up your alley. That is what you need. I mean, Dr. Mike is your guy.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to reach out to Dr. Mike, see if we can work something out, because that would be amazing if he could help me with some flexibility stuff. Mike, I think you brought this up. I know that we've talked to you about you being competitive, so I know you've been kind of all over. The NJSGA released the schedule for 2023 for their different championships and their 4-ball and I say their 4-ball, all their stuff. And I want to ask you, in front of everybody, do you want to be my alternate shot partner this year?
I appreciate the ask, but the answer is no. I just got to be honest.
I don't think I'd qualify anyway.
But listen, they just released their 2023 championship schedule. And when you look at, it's so funny where some of these championships are being held because they're places of pros or directors of instruction that we've spoken to already. Perfect example, the 4-ball is that the championship's being held at Hamilton Farm, right in the backyard of Nick Bova. Then you got 122nd Amateur Championship coming to Manasquan River. Like, you want to talk about making sure your game's dialed in for that. And then you got some other ones. I know you had mentioned the other day or last episode, like, you would love to play Neshannock Valley. It just so happens that the 89th Men's Public Links Championship is at Neshannock Valley. So you're talking so many great golf courses on this schedule, nonetheless with qualifying sites at really, really good spots. And, I'd be remiss not to mention that, they got the 40th Mid-Amateur. It's being held at Deal. You got the 103rd State Open being held at Hackensack. And then we were fortunate to find out way back when Dave Cronheim of the NJSGA, kind of hinted towards us that they were going to have the first ever State Open for women. And that's being held this year at Montclair Golf Club. So, when you look at this schedule, you look at the venues, look at where the championships are being held, man, it is a who's who of golf courses in New Jersey.
Yeah, it's. I know some of the sites are still TBA. Like looking at the schedule here, the 4-ball is the first thing to come out. That's in May, so they got April. They got 3 qualifiers. Only 2 are, they have a location and a date for. So they're still filling in some of that stuff. But man, like the golf courses on this list, if you are interested in playing some competitive golf, there's some amazing golf courses. It really is. It blows my mind every time we think about it. Like New Jersey, we just have so many great golf courses, and it's like you forget about like the senior 4-balls being held at Knickerbocker. We haven't mentioned Knickerbocker once, and then one of our interviewers that we haven't sent out the interview yet, he mentioned Knickerbocker, and that's the first time we've ever mentioned that, and that's a course that guy loves, said one of the best in the state. So like there's so many good clubs that we talk about, and then it's like, oh, you forget about like Knickerbocker. We haven't talked about Watchung really since Dave's interview, but even that one's phenomenal. Mendham, you mentioned Deals on here.
Spring Lake's holding a senior amateur.
There's just so many good ones. I was going to say Spring Lake, Knoll Country Club. There's just so many good ones that just are like, it's just like one right after the other of just like, like if you're talking about, oh, that club's really solid. I think that's a great compliment. And on this list of courses, that's like the knock of like, man, I'll tell you, like Hackensack, I've heard that's a really solid one. And it's like, ooh, so you don't really like that on this list. It's like, no, I do like it. But when you're comparing it to all the others, it's just like, and not a knock against Hackensack.
Yeah, and even the qualifiers. I mean, specifically when you look throughout all of them, it's not like you're going to the local muni to qualify for the championship. I mean, when you just look at the amateur championship itself, like, you're heading over to Jumping Brook, and then you got, Quail Brook, which is a very, very good public golf course. And you got Burlington Country Club. You got courses on this that even if you did not qualify for the championship itself, you're going to still go play a very high quality golf course. So it's not like you're paying for just some average run-of-the-mill, muni right around the corner. Like, these are legit locations, and there's no doubt, like, even being fortunate to play in the NJSGA events, like, they put on a phenomenal tournament. Everything is first class. They take care of you. Everybody from, the volunteers who work it to the guys behind the computer that are operating the whole thing. They just do a first class job. And, I think we'd be remiss not to talk about it early on here with them just releasing it. So if you haven't seen it, you can definitely go check it out on their website, njsga.org/future-schedule. And right there you can see all the list of spots, men's, women's, juniors. They got it all there. And it's some are, like Ryan mentioned, some TBAs. But you just keep checking. I'm sure those will be filling in, as we continue.
So, Mike, this is my only knock with the NJSGA here. And maybe it's not a big deal because there's such a small pool of people. But for all of these, you need like a handicap that's below a certain index, which I get that. That makes total sense. I'm not saying have like a, for the state open, I think it's 5 and below or 7 and below. Totally got it. Totally, like, You don't want someone who's 19 in the qualifying. I understand that. But I would like to see them have something for the group of people who are competitive, but still not in that top echelon of golfers. Even if it's like, so it seems like 7 is for most of these, from what I remember. But like, what about this? What about something for the people who are like 8 to 15, or I guess 7.1 to 15? You know, like I wish they had something, because none of these are that. The only thing that is there's some where you combine handicaps, and the combined handicap, I don't know what that was. The combined handicap can't be above
the four
like
ball,
a 12.
Yeah, the 4-ball, for example, the team, it has a handicap limit of 14.0. So you combine your handicap with your partner.
Right, and if I'm a 12, that means you have to be under a 2. And I get why some people would want to do that, but I also, other people, like, that discourages people from doing, like, people don't want to do that because a 12 has the ability to play well, but they also have the ability to not help at all. So I get that as well. So that would be my only knock, is I'd like to see something for like that. I always want to call it like mid-am, but I know mid-am is more of an age, but like those people who are still competitive, but aren't terribly great golfers. Again, I'll say, like, someone like myself, I can get around, but it's, like I said, I'm a 12 handicap, and I would like for there to be something for me. And again, maybe that's such a small pool that it's not worth it to them, which I get.
Yeah, and I would say, and I guess to play on their side as to maybe the why, it's a great question to ask them.
Sure. Give me devil's advocate.
You might be a very small pool of people that are in, let's say, the 8.0 index range to the 15.0 that want to compete. Most of the people in that range either A, just enjoy playing, and the idea of going ball and hole is something that scares them. So they're like, why would I pay $150 to shoot 114? Because most middle handicappers, now when you're talking about putting everything out, when you're talking a little pressure on the line, don't have the ability to go 75. Where on a normal Saturday, that 8 handicap could piece together a good round at his home course and go low. But he's also probably not putting everything out. So I think the idea of what you're trying to say is understandable, no doubt, but I also think it's a very small pool. But I do have a suggestion for you, and I hope you don't take offense to this.
I'm going to.
Because I think this is a great idea that you can take and run with, is you make your
own. Hold on. If you say be a better golfer, I'm gonna hit you.
Nope. No, I'm not. Listen, I'll run away. You can't catch me. But I will say, like, you want your own tournament, and I get it. You want the tournament for the 8 to the 15 handicap, right? That's kind of like what you're looking for. So I have a great suggestion for you. I got a great suggestion for you. And don't take offense to this. You should make this tournament, you should run it and call it the Choppers Championship.
Fuck. That's amazing. I love it. The Choppers Championship.
So, and then you take it in and run the tournament.
I'll tell you what, NJSGA, let's coordinate. We got the 2000. Is it too late to organize that for this year, for 23?
Yeah.
So we got the 2024 Choppers Championship. It's going to be held at...
Presented by the Drop Podcast.
Right, presented by the Drop Podcast.
We're
holding it at...
TBA.
At TBA. Yeah, TBA on the location. I think that's good. I think that's both funny. I think that again, like, these are super competitive tournaments, and I think that for those people that are still competitive but not very good, they would want that. They would want that air of competition while also. No, I want to say, like,
you're going to get a big enough field, though?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess they'd. I mean, you wouldn't know if you don't try, first of all. But I think that would be a. I think you're missing out on something.
I'll be
I'd like
honest
to see
with you,
them
there
try
are
that.
some other tours within the state of New Jersey that have things specifically designed for handicapped tournaments outside the NJSGA. You know, like I know that there's a New Jersey amateur tour or something along those lines that we've connected with on Instagram, and has made mention to me that, you know, for lower handicap guys, it's not really their niche. Their niche is really for the middle handicap guys, which I get. But I guess the only problem and the question for the Choppers Championship is, are you going to get enough people? But I love the name. I knew you'd love the name.
I really do. You know what?
And I think just the whole idea of the Choppers Championship presented by the Drop Podcast, I mean, I think that's a great little ring.
Yeah, Mike and I record on Zoom, and as I was talking, I could see his face light up. I know the exact second that he came up with the name Choppers Championship.
I just didn't know. I didn't know. Listen, and no offense to the audience, I'm not jabbing at people that are 8 to 14 handicaps. So please don't DM me on Instagram saying like I'm never listening to you again, so on and so forth. Let's make sure I toss that comment out there before we get blitzed with comments saying like, oh, I'll play you any day of the week, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I get it. Some of you are sandbaggers. I get it.
And if you really are passionate about your opinion, Mike's home personal phone number is... Certainly give him a call, send him a text.
Don't say that, because the problem is now people call that number and they're getting some random phone number because you're saying it on the podcast.
Micah, I do want to put this out there for those people who are in a boat like mine, whether you want to be competitive at a place that you can go be competitive at. That's fine, maybe, and not as good as, to qualify for some of those other tournaments. Or if you're someone who just wants to go see other places, there's some, as we've talked about, there's some great golf courses out there. The NJSGA does put on what they call member golf days, and they did come up with some of their member golf days from 2023. It's not complete yet. But they have a couple. There's Stone Harbor, Lake Mohawk, NJ National is on there. There's a bunch of TBDs at this point, but this is also a really great way for those that are listening that are, again, in my kind of boat, where either you just want to go see a place that you've never seen before, you want to be competitive, see your name on a leaderboard and compare yourself to other golfers in a little more tournament-like atmosphere. Whatever the case may be for your reasoning, but these days are awesome. It's really amazing that these courses open up to the first however many golfers it is, and they put on basically an outing basically at all these courses, and it's really a great way to see a whole bunch of other places. And again, it's how I got to see the Ridge at Backbrook a few years ago, and seeing that course was awesome.
Well, so it's funny you say that, because I'll be dead honest with you. I've never played in one before. And when I'm looking at this list for 2023, I know, man, back when I was a high school golfer, I was fortunate to play Stone Harbor, and that place was a gem down in South Jersey. And one thing I think, and I know that, Dave had mentioned this back, what was that, episode 7 or 8 that Dave was on. These member golf days are great opportunities for, non-members of private golf clubs to go play private golf clubs and go experience that. So I'm pretty sure they run like a Stableford system in terms of how the scoring is done. I got to believe the handicap is involved, because it's the only way that it's going to be fair to, the really low guy to the really high guy. But just the list of the courses that are on there, I mean, man, if you found a group of 4, you and 3 buddies, and found a spot that you've been dying to get on, and you looked at this schedule, I mean, God, the 7 that are listed right here right now are no joke either. I mean, you got Stone Harbor, Lake Mohawk, Cobblestone, Black Oak. Then later in October, you got Panther Valley, White Beaches, and New Jersey National, which is superb as it comes. So, and they got 7 TBDs. So if you just continue to check this site, man, there might be 1 or 2 others that pop up that grab your eye and say, listen, we got to go find a way to get on there.
Absolutely. And I will say that the Ridge has been in there for every year the last like 5 or 6 years. So I would bet the Ridge is on there as well. I've never even heard of Panther Valley or White Beaches or Stone Harbor, to be quite honest with you. So that certainly might be on my list. I know New Jersey National is something that would be cool to get to. So there's definitely a way, if you're interested in playing something like that, check out the member golf days by the NJSGA.
And just to confirm,
really
I checked on some of the past results on their website, and it is handicap based. So that is a good thing for people out there that are listening. Like, man, does that mean I got to go play against the scratch golfer? No, it's a Stableford system based upon your handicap at that golf course, pending the tees that you're playing. So another great thing that the NJSGA puts out. So like Ryan mentioned, if you're not into the full-on ball and hole tournament-like atmosphere and you're looking for something that suits you and your game, that's a great opportunity for you to kind of be competitive and go experience a new place, and a great place nonetheless.
That was actually my first experience with Stableford Scoring, and it was a little confusing, walking up and not really knowing that. So that was, again, a really cool way. And I think, Mike, an easy transition into a kind of a segment that we've put in here in talking about different games you can play on the golf course when you go out. This Stableford Scoring is something that I really like the idea of it. Again, it might not be for everybody. But before we get in there, I do want to mention one thing. You can, if it wasn't clear when we talked about Wolf last episode or the episode before, you can alter these rules however you want to. Someone mentioned to me that they've played Wolf at their club, and they play in no less than fivesomes. So like it's 1-on-4, whatever. If you find that it works a certain way for you, or if you only have 3 guys, like these rules are not hard and fast. To be honest, I think it's really just the point system, and then even at that point, you can kind of figure it out as you go. If you're changing the points, you can certainly do that. And I think you'll see with Stableford that it's really only a point scoring system. It's not necessarily a game. I thought that was a good transition because I was talking to a friend recently. My buddy lives in Dublin. He's moved out there a few years ago. He's got a family out there, and he plays golf, kind of occasionally, maybe a little bit more. But he was saying that when he got out there, that's the game that they play. They in Ireland or the UK, that's where Stableford Scoring is what they play when you go out regularly. You know how we talked about you come out here and you play a 5-5-10 game, 5 in the front, 5 in the back, 10 overall. They go out and that's just their standard Stableford Scoring. So kind of interesting that it's that way. And he was explaining to me that while the handicap system is the main way, and I do like this about it a whole lot, when you handicap somebody or when you play with the handicaps, that's the main way to make the game fair. This is another level to make the game between people more fair as well. Because if the person who's the higher handicap, in theory, is going to have more blow-up holes. Well, you don't get penalized the point system for blowing up on a hole. So I do like that there's that aspect of it. So let me go into this a little bit. You can play this at any way you want to, foursomes, pairs, teams, whatever you want. Again, it's a scoring system rather than a game or an on-course game. At the end of the round, the team or the person with the most points wins. So unlike golf where you want the lower score, Stableford Scoring, you want the higher score. And I'm going to get to the scoring in a second. Mike, have you ever played Stableford?
Yeah, and there's no doubt I have, and obviously, just listening to you speak about it, everybody does it different. And I know at the beginning of the game, when you were to play with your group, you might specify specifically like, hey, okay, if we're going to say points are 25 cents, they're 50 cents, they're $1, so that, if I won 50 points at the end of the round, you won 30, the difference is 20. Now, if you're, then you decide if it's dollars and you owe me $20, whatever the case is. Like, I knew the points were based upon a dollar figure or cent, whatever you're playing with your group.
So this is like the base scoring, and like I said, you can kind of change this as you want to. Double bogey or more, you get 0 points. For a bogey, you get 1 point. For a par, you get 2 points. For a birdie, you get 3 points. An eagle, 4. And a double eagle or an albatross, you get 5. I want to take a time out here. Mike, you call it double eagle or albatross?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, I've never made one. I've never made one, so I don't know. I mean, I guess you could call it albatross. I think it's got to be the cooler name. If you make a 2 on a 5, you got to go with the cooler name. An eagle is just like an eagle. Like, you made an eagle before in a par 5 or par 4. You got lucky and hold one out. But an albatross sounds like, damn. Okay, you just golfed that hole. No clue what that means, but it's got to be something good.
Right. So I go the other way because...
Of course you would. Of course you would. Of course you would.
I like double eagle.
Why would you call it double eagle?
Because...
You made a 2 on a par 5. Give me the cool word. Albatross.
Right. We all know that eagle is awesome. And then when you get 2 awesomes...
Yeah, an albatross on another level.
To each their own. I go double eagle over albatross, but... I was curious as to what you had in there. But so I did slash it. So again, when you double eagle or albatross, you get 5 points. Really the only thing that I saw that like a couple places as I was doing research. So a hole in one is technically an eagle.
Correct.
So for that means that you're getting 4 points, but you just did the hardest thing in golf. So some places, I think that's something that you just call out. In some places, I saw it, play it as 4 because it's an eagle. Play it as 5 because that's the most you could get. Or it's the best thing you could get because getting a hole in one is better than a double eagle or an albatross. So give it 6 points. Do with what you want to. You can play it with handicaps. As I said, so if someone who's stroking on a hole gets a 6 for a net 5, they get 1 point. If they got a bogey, net par, they get 2 points. And then you just kind of play it away. And again, I like the aspect of it that the handicap system, as I said, that's the first, the biggest, the most fair way to make a match competitive and make it fair between two competitors. But this seems like a really good way, whereas like that higher handicap is going to blow up more times than the other person does. And it saves them from having that, you get a 7 on a par 4, you got three extra strokes on your number score. Those you can't get back. Whereas this system, it's like you got a 7, it's like, okay, you just got no points. Whereas someone else might have bogeyed and they just got 1 point. So instead of losing 3 strokes, you only lost 1, which I kind of like that. Again, it keeps it a little more fair. The blow-ups don't hurt you as much, I guess, is what I'm saying. So,
yeah, obviously, I mean, and just to clarify that, the blow-ups still count to your overall score when you're going to post something. But in terms of the game that's being played within the group, it still keeps you competitive and not feeling like, wow, how am I going to make up 9 strokes in the last 4 holes because it's a point-based game.
For sure. I should have said that because that is true. You're still keeping, this is still golf. You're still playing even more than Wolf, you're playing just a round of golf. And it's just a different way to score in your group, but you're still posting a regular score. Still going ball and hole and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I thought this was a cool way. I thought it was ironic that we kind of were talking about it, and it just happened to be the one that I picked for today because I was talking with my buddy about how they play golf over in Ireland. So I thought very kismet today.